broken down and tired.
Welcome to Bunker Hill.
Living life on the merry-go-round.
We're pairing the most brilliant minds in medicine with the most brilliant minds in technology. Same philosophy here as a company in Silicon Valley. Best idea wins. We will find a way to save you and your baby.
You've given us hope.
Sweetheart, can you hear us?
Hi, Daddy.
Mr. Keating.
I will rise 1,000 times again.
Finally, there's a doctor in the house. Or, you know, one who plays one on TV, I guess.
Well, you're very convincing.
Thank you. Well, so is that when you put Andrew Day song on anything, I'd pretty much buy it. So, but I'm here to say this show works. It's really good.
It really does work. And if you think you've seen every kind of medical drama out there, this is not your typical medical drama whatsoever. It's not schmaltzy.
That's what we like
not
about it.
touchy-feely.
Yeah, we don't make fun of the other shows, but we do feel somewhat superior. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you guys approach the subject matter with, I think, a much more clinical attitude.
Yeah.
Ooh, do you get the punchline there?
I did this one.
I know. I know.
I know, Donna, everybody.
Hold the applause. It's okay. It's okay.
Right.
So tell
like
me
a debate where you have to hold your applause. Well, you know, we have the same satisfaction you'd get out of a familiar type of medical drama, but we've got a whole tech angle on it. So what we're seeing on Pure Genius is really the cutting edge, the leading procedures, things that are about 5 minutes from hitting your hospital rooms. Everything we put on the show has a basis in truth. Some of it might just be expanded somewhat, but really only because we haven't found out how those things work yet, because they're still in prototype or they're just in a trial stage. So it's been really fun for me just to learn what's coming next, and I know it will be for viewers as well.
What has been the biggest challenge for you in playing a doctor? Because this is something that you have not done before.
If I could think how to say it, my biggest challenge was saying Mica vibrio ruginosivorus. That was it. I got it.
What is that?
It's a killer bacteria that eats other bacterias.
Well, there you go.
You know,
we know.
It'll eat up the necrotizing fasciitis. Look at me.
You're just, I mean, do you sit home at night and just spew this?
No, but that one long term, it has, count them, 11 syllables. I don't know if you guys frequently say things that have 11 syllables, but I try to keep mine down to about 2 or 3. So yeah, the night before we shot that scene, it was my last thought as I was falling asleep and my first thought as I was waking up. I literally have to concentrate that hard, and sometimes at the same time as you're, you know, cutting open,
operating.
Somebody's plastic torso with a rubber kidney. You know.
And you have to reel it off without pause once
Yeah.
they're filming.
Yeah, but I don't know if you guys heard about this thing called editing. But we're using it on our show, also very high tech.
What has surprised you the most in terms of the medical advances that you've seen on the show that's closest to reality?
Well, you know what'll happen on Pure Genius? We'll get a case. It's probably about as weird or interesting as you see on other medical shows. You know, we embrace that, we honor that tradition as a convention, as a genre. And then everything will probably look pretty fine, like it's going to be okay by about page 20. And then something goes horribly wrong, and then we have to think of a new innovative strategy to address the issue. So each week, we're about to shoot our 10th episode of the 300 or the 400 that we're planning on doing.
Of course.
And,
let's just go up to 800.
800 sounds good too. So we've had an incredible wide variety of medical problems, and we seem to solve most, if not all of them.
How did you come to do this? Obviously, you got the script, but what about it resonated with you?
Well, I'd seen a number of scripts over my years, and I knew CBS was a great place to work, and that they really supported their writers and producers. In this case, it is in the figure of Jason Katims, who's known for Parenthood, Friday Night Lights before that, Roswell, other successful shows as well. So, what he brings to even a show like this that has a dependable format, is great characters and the people that you start to care about. So even the story of the week, the medical, I point at somewhere vaguely near my liver, medical story of the week, those characters would be really intriguing too. It's not just, really what makes the difference on this show is the stories between the characters. You see Prew, Augustus plays James Bell, our billionaire who opens Bunker Hill, and he hires the best of the best surgeons in the country. I play one of those. And
No, he plays the chief of staff.
Chief of staff.
So the
but
genius
I have
of the geniuses.
Now that's well put. I should remember that. But I'd have one foot in the conventional medical world, and a little bit of a renegade, and this guy spots that and pulls me in to revamp medicine top to bottom. So it's really interesting, beyond your wildest imaginings. Let's go with that.
So when the show opens, I think without giving anything away, your character has undergone a professional demise.
Yeah.
Which we won't go into specifics.
Oh, I don't mind. It's interesting. A part of the story is you see a guy restarting his career at my age, whatever that 52 might be. That's actually a really intriguing story for me. So I'm working for a guy that's younger than me. Is anybody experiencing that in here? I imagine you are, some of you. And that's really interesting dynamic. So between Dr. Wallace and James Bell, there's a great, a whole environment within their relationship where it's kind of a reverse mentorship, overtones of father-son. He has his own issue that you learn in the first episode that would compel him to open this medical center. So it's pretty rich with possibilities character-wise, and obviously, medically speaking, we'll have some diseases that you recognize, some medical problems you've heard about, but the solutions are all going to be pretty fresh stuff, so you won't know what's coming next.
It won't be like CBC Chem 7 rush him to the ER type.
Yeah.
Things.
No.
I used to watch
Those other
those,
shows,
yeah.
we've loved them over the years. There'd be like a beleaguered ER, underfunded hospital. The administration doesn't understand us doctors. We're not like that at all. We have all the resources you can imagine. It's really a question of what would you do if you had billions of dollars? We were debating backstage really the details of it, but didn't we just hear that Zuckerberg just threw down $3 billion to make a medical center just like this? So we heard this news when we were shooting on the set, and it really, for us that are in the middle of making this show, it blew our mind that announcement was made while we're making this show, not before it or not after it. It really made us feel like we're in the moment of what's happening now in medicine, and that it took something like that, someone who made billions of dollars out of thin air, if you ask me, and did something right with it. So we felt really righteous in terms of that it's actually happening in the real world, what Jason Katims and the writers imagined happening. It's almost like we manifested it. We'll take no credit, but we will share that experience, as you guys are, as the news of that develops and as our show, continues.
No, agreed. And I want to go switch paths a little bit.
Certainly.
You were just on, the series follows up on the heels of Mozart in the Jungle, season 2, where you played a very different character. You were a playboy Lothario, sassy cello player. By the way, this man is
world-renowned cellist.
This man, by the way, lest you don't know, is a professional cello player in real life. Cellist. Cello player or cellist? What's the
Either way,
correct? Okay.
It's all right. It's when you start talking about pianist and pianist that it gets a little sticky. But cellist, cello player, yes, I've been one my whole life, and So the guys that make that show, I know from over the years.
Schwartzman and Roman Coppola, yeah.
Right, who are great, innovative writers and directors, producers. So they thought of me and put this character together, knowing that I played the cello. So they also had me back. I play one, maybe 2 episodes in season 3 that I think comes out in December, wherever that.
You're going to be double teaming on TV. You're going to be on Amazon.
Really,
yeah.
I love my role on Mozart in the Jungle, but it's very small, and really all the credit of the success of that show goes to Gael Bernal and Lola Kirk and the rest of the great cast. Bernadette Peters is a perennial favorite of mine. Saffron Burrows, other great actors we all love. So it's a fantastic show. If you haven't seen those first 2 seasons, see it. You'll probably watch it over the course of a Saturday. You can catch them all, and you'll be ready for season 3.
But I think, with all due respect, I think you gave it a really nice flavor. You brought that,
Well, let's be honest. Here what they have on that show is a lot of actors playing musicians, so they almost look like they're playing. And then they got a musician who's an actor, and you should see it. It looks exactly like I'm playing, which I am. So really interesting. You know what I did?
What?
Since I don't practice like solo pieces that much. I went to that box of music that has moved with me for 35 years, and I went through it and I found 2 of the pieces that I could play really well in high school, and those are the ones that I played. So I'm using the same sheet of music that I bought in 1978 to practice up for Mozart in the Jungle.
I think that's so cool.
Day. Yeah, no, I mean, I can even see my name written on it in the way you would write your name when you were in high school. And I still have it. That's the phenomenal thing.
How often do you play in your real life?
Well, I play other instruments, and check this out. Go look up Cranky George. I have a great band called Cranky George. It's got a Facebook and Twitter and so forth. Our album, Fat Lotta Good, was just released. I play a little cello on that, but guitar and mandolin is my other instrument. So, if you listen to one of the samples online, you can buy it right there on iTunes.
Imagine that.
You just push a few buttons and you have a whole album.
He's a doctor who plays music.
A doctor who plays music. I know.
Is the music ever going to make an appearance on this show?
It does. You know what we shot yesterday? An entire gospel choir for one of the scenes, which was phenomenal. Last week we had a beautifully trained ballet dancer whose mother was in a kidney transplant chain. So we see her dance on the show. Philip Phillips. Know him?
Singer.
He made an appearance and sang that beautiful song with kind of like a Make-A-Wish type of moment with one of the young people that was in our hospital. And Dr. Wallace, that I play, get this. What does he play? He plays the cello.
No.
Yeah, Jason Kadam's, his daughter, Phoebe, goes to high school and plays cello. So I got a job with a guy who's a cello lover, and he wrote it right in. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, now it's like following me around.
It's your thing.
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, it is my thing. It is. So, sometimes it takes a while. I mean, I keep pointing at you like you're all young, but y'all look pretty young. So, if you haven't found that thing, you will. What happened with me is I've always had that thing, and it kind of diminished and then came back super strong in my life. So I totally embrace it, and the time that I spent as a student musician, I just really cherish all of that even more because it led to this. Next week, I'm booked to play in the scoring session for Los Alamos, a new film coming out, and I've played on dozens of
you've scored so many
soundtracks.
movies.
Yeah, including Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the Mission Impossible movies, Zootopia, Inside Out, Tomorrowland. I've played in the orchestra for the scoring sessions for all of these movies. It's my second job.
That is so cool that you get to combine the two. I mean, it's so rare.
And so I talk to the producers on Pure Genius and say, hey, Carrie, I got 6 dates for this orchestra, so if there's any way you can cut me out a day or 2 on that. And actually, these sessions, too, they're on the weekend, so I get those 2 for sure, and maybe like 2 other dates out of they have 7 days to score this movie. So
I think that's amazing.
I catch some of them, not the whole.
And before we go to the audience, I want to bring up 2 other things. You were in one of my favorite movies, Longtime Companion, which...
Such a great movie.
Such a great movie, and the first one that dealt with AIDS, the first wide-release film that dealt with AIDS. So
yeah, that came out, I think, in 1989, maybe 1990.
Mary Louise Parker.
Mary Louise Parker, great cast. Campbell Scott. I mean, the list goes on and on. Really, Mark Lamos it'll take me a second. Davidson. Got the Academy nomination.
No. It'll come to me in a second, too. But what's your memory from that experience?
That experience, too, is something that I feel like I did when I was young, and it still has a life, and it's still a part of my life. I saw it twice in recent years for film festivals, and it's the most phenomenal thing to be this age, to have been playing a 20-year-old aspiring model who was struck with this bizarre disease that his friends didn't know what it was, and he dies. And it's an incredibly moving experience to see that movie. Even talking about it now, I place myself, that I was just acting a role. But we, from this generation, lost so many talented people and beautiful friends that it will always resonate. There's so few. Pure Genius will fall into this short list of mine. Longtime Companion. It's really the first one where I was ever in something that had an impact on people's
society,
lives. And has more than just a comment on society. There's nothing wrong with just entertaining people. I love that, and I'm honored to be in that field. But there are a few movies, shows I've done over the years that actually have deeper meaning and broader repercussions. And that one, it means so much to so many people, myself included, that I really appreciate you bringing it up.
Well,
a lot of people here may not have seen it, but it told the story of the AIDS epidemic during it. It started, we were shooting it in 88, and the story starts in 81 and brought you up to the present, which I don't know why. I feel like that's an unusual structure of a film, like the recent past, right to where we were that day. So even that kind of, it encapsulated that moment in time for us who were there.
And on a lighter note, it's also almost the 20-year anniversary of one of the greatest romantic comedies ever made, My Best Friend's Wedding.
I know.
Right? Am I right?
Now that one you probably have seen. Because it's just had a phenomenal lifespan in its own right. Obviously, it was a extremely popular romantic comedy at the time, but unlike a lot of movies, it just stayed. It never diminished. Something about it. I can't always put my finger on it. In fact, since then, what year was that? 96 or 7?
96, yeah.
It'd be tough to name a better romantic comedy that's been made since then.
That stands up.
That has that kind of lasting.
And you became friends with Julia Roberts.
And we're still great friends, and I cherish that movie. Really, that's the movie more than anything that people come up to me they bring it up to me, and they're always smiling. It's amazing the kind of goodwill that I banked over the years that's now coming back at me just randomly on the street or the drive or whatever it is. It's been phenomenal. If that's the shakedown of what, 3 months of effort, and that 20 years later I have people, I can tell they're coming at me and I know what they're going to bring up because they have that look on their face because that movie made them happy, See? And I think I know why it worked. She was not trying really to get the guy, although it seemed like it. What she was trying to do was break up the other couple. So it's a sad movie. She's playing a sad clown. And people forgot that was really funny. They forgot that. I mean, you can picture Bill Murray playing those roles, but who does it now? Maybe Galifianakis, But nobody really has that thing, Anyhow, that's my theory, is that it was sad without you knowing it, and that's why it stuck so hard.
And
she didn't get what she wanted, and she was trying to undermine instead of trying to get the guy. That wasn't her dominant
she didn't want you.
thing.
She just wanted you to get married.
She just didn't want him to get married to somebody else.
See, and I feel like that's when you major brownie points. So when he gets sued for malpractice on the show,
right,
you've already paid
everyone
it forward.
will still be smiling at me. It's true. It's true.
Now to our audience, please.
Hey, would you let a robot perform surgery on you?
I would.
Oh, that's
I would, because I've learned how that's happening now. That's not something in the future. That's already going down. We've put it in the show. It's not like a robot that looks like, Land of the Lost or whatever. What am I thinking of? The one where anyhow.
like from Star Wars? Is that
Yeah,
what
it wouldn't be like R2-D2. What it would be is a robotic, apparatus that. But, so much surgery is being done through tiny little holes in the abdomen now. Scopic surgery, they go in from 4 angles with a camera and a tube of water and a drainage and a little pick or it's all being done, not all, but there's so much amazing surgery that's being done inside the body without having to, excavate the thoracic cavity.
Dermot, you're just you're laying it on thick, but we're buying.
Yeah, I stumbled a little bit on the thoracic. I got a little confused how they say that, but all in all, it's a real thing, and it's like half of the surgeries are being done that way, which you'll learn when you get fully addicted to Pure Genius, and you can't wait for Thursday night. They do have CBS All Access, so you guys can watch it whenever you want. But I'll tell you what, my mom is she's gonna watch it every Thursday night at 10 on CBS with millions of other people. So we appreciate that there are new ways to watch stuff, and you can go get it and watch it on the bus. But maybe don't forget to appreciate the shared experience of seeing it at 10 o'clock on Thursday nights with my mom.
Mrs. Mulroney, thanks to you in advance.
Mrs. Mulroney will appreciate it, trust me.
Over here, please.
Hi. So I was wondering, since you play a doctor now, do you have higher standards for your doctor? And also, wait, I'm not done. What was I going to say?
It was the whole wait, I'm not done part threw you off.
Do you have enough confidence in your band to make like an actual like music career, like leave acting and like be a person in band?
I think what I found out with the band that's kind of impossible. Once again, you guys changed everything, and there's no like record label, and selling albums doesn't make, even Philip Phillips doesn't make his money off of selling his album or selling that one song that was such a big hit. He's got to go on the road in a bus and so forth. I got a family, I got a full-time job, so it doesn't really work that way. What we hope with Cranky George is that it just gets kind of a groundswell and people like it and they listen to it, you know what I mean? So, being a rock star was never really one of my aspirations, but being a musician whose music people like always has been. It's been a part of my life since I was 7. So does that kind of answer? And what was your first question? I, too, got distracted by you telling me to hang on. What was that first question?
Do you have high standards for your doctor?
What? Oh, yeah. You know what? I should call my doctor anyhow. I mean, yeah, just for a physical. I'm overdue. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah. You guys are probably overdue, too, so check it out.
And we have time for one more question up front here.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I was wondering, could you talk about your time on Shameless?
Sure. I enjoyed that job so much, and it's a great, crazy show, great cast, and what I've found now, really in particular, is really here too how really dedicated the fans are. If you watch the show, there's like a certain mindset of there's a type of person. Really, for all the jobs I've ever had, there's like a type. That's what I was saying. I can tell when it's a Best Friend's Wedding fan coming at me, or a Young Guns fan, or someone from Shameless. So it's been really fun for me these last 2 seasons that I enjoyed working on that show. Really how passionate the fans are. And I keep getting asked whether the character's coming back, and he's not. I know. Well, you know what Shameless does is has these real, like, incredibly spiky storylines where it's just going along and then something outrageous happens. And that never really happened with my character. Maybe right at the end when Frank Gallagher wanted to kill me. That was pretty cool. But then it ended like, what I mean is the storylines on that show are so erratic as it is, which is one of the things we all love about it. But, that they just voided me.
Well, let me ask you this, since you know what
I said bye. I said take care of yourself or whatever, right? Walk away with my son and my heroin problem. We pretty much wrapped that up.
Well, you say you know what when a fan approaches you, what they're going to talk to you about. What does a Pure Genius fan look like?
Oh, probably looks like my mom. Probably a little bit. But, obviously what we'd hope is that our audience is a little more interesting than a typical medical drama audience. And it'll be up to, me talking about it and you guys actually tuning in and going, hey, he's right. It's not just dumb and old-fashioned. We really have a lot to offer. I wouldn't be here if I didn't really believe in this show and that I found a job that I find really fulfilling, that's doing something other than just, fixing the girl's kidney this week. We're really going to show you stuff that you haven't heard of yet. And what ends up happening? I end up going through websites and saying, hey, I heard about this lady whose baby was taken out of her body. They removed a tumor, and then they put it back in her body for the rest of the gestation period. Stuff like that. I'll just catch a news article and think, hey, we could put that on our show or however it is. Anyway, I'm really excited about it, and I think it's got a lot to offer, more so than it seems. You can see they've been promoting it kind of Steve Jobs-y and kind of, Silicon Valley tech rather than, because they could just as easily have put 6 people in lab coats up there and stethoscopes around their neck, and I don't think they'd have gotten the same interest. So it's a good plan, and I back it. It's really going to be an innovative show.
Thursdays, 10 p.m. on CBS,
yeah,
right?
Until the end of time.
All right. Thank you so much.